Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 20th December 2016. In this, The World According to Trump is the first article. It is by Sham Saran. The article looks into various new appointments made by the President-elect Trump and their worldview and their implications for India and the world at large. The first is, or we can divide this topic this way: energy, defense, diplomacy, and then trade and business. Coming to energy, Energy Protection Agency Chief is Scott Pruitt, and then Energy Secretary is Rick Perry. These two people have a worldview that climate change is a nonsense. So it means that the Paris climate change will US is going to move out of this, or else even if it do not move, the INDCs are not very much binding, and there is no verification mechanism set up on the INDCs. And US is going to be relaxed itself on achieving its INDCs. India can also do the same, and all the world countries will be doing the same. Then the climate change is going to be worsened. Because of this, India being the vulnerable country, it's going to face many risks. And coming to the defense, yes, during the President Ashton Cartership, the defense relations got strengthened. They have seen the new heights. So now we got Mr. James Mattis. How it moves with the in the era of the James Mattis, we need to understand. And Mr. Trump has clarified that he is interested in deepening the defense trade with India further. But Mr. James Mattis, he has worked under the Central Command. What is his worldview with regard to the Pakistan and Afghanistan that is going to impact India's relations and defense partnership with USA? And the third thing is, Islamic State, the war against the ISIS, was stated as the first priority for the President Trump. Mr. James Mattis is also of the same opinion. It means war on terrorism is going to be deepened. And coming to the defense, you know that the ExxonMobil chief, Mr. Tillerson, was appointed as Secretary of State. Now he has got very close links with the Russian President Putin. So obviously, it is going to be a good news for India for various reasons. As of now, India has to do a fine balancing between US and Russia, and this contradicting interest is making the situation difficult for India. Now the situation is bound to change. And second is, the Russia is getting pulled towards China after the sanctions were imposed by US and Europe in relation to Crimea. In this case, the Russia, once its relations get strengthened and normalized with the US, its dependence on China gets decreased. So in those circumstances, whatever the Russia's policies towards Pakistan, etc., can be expected to be reversed. It appears that Russia is under the influence of China in normalizing its relations with Pakistan. So this can be changed, and India can be better placed in this area. And coming to China, now the President Trump, he has clearly stated that he wanted to bring in a new normal with China. So here he has spoken to Taiwanese president, and he has also took the congratulatory message from her. So it shows that he is trying to rake up the one China policy to gain a bargaining power with China vis-a-vis the trade issues, etc. And the next is the trade and business. Already Mr. Trump has nullified the Trans-Pacific Partnership, US participation in it. So it means it is going to be dead. So here the China expects a positive point to itself. Once the US starts moving away from the trade deals, the world becomes more suspicious about United States and its power to lead the continent. And China can be assertive more in the Asia. And second is, what India shall do. India has to gain itself an entry into APEC as soon as possible, and also it has to close its partnership with the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. One way is cancellation of the TPP. It's going to be beneficial for India because India may get marginalized through TPP as its norms are much stringent compared to the World Trade Organization or RCEP norms. So these are the things. But one worst consequence is the limit on H1B visas or raising of the fees for H1B visas. It can badly affect the India's IT industry. These are the things which we can see. Now let's talk about the grappling with water disputes. What this article talks about, let's have a brief background. We know that there is Article 262 of the Constitution. It places the responsibility in the hands of the Parliament to tackle the interstate river water disputes. So, according to this, Interstate River Water Disputes Act was passed by the Parliament in 1956, and central government, according to this, on receiving of a grievance or a complaint, can appoint a tribunal to adjudicate the matters of river water disputes. Now, the award given by the tribunal is final. Now, the major complaint over here is different tribunals are being appointed for different purposes and they never give the award on time. Now, an amendment is going to be brought up for the River Water Disputes Act, and this amendment clearly talks about a permanent tribunal in the places of ad hoc tribunals for each and every river. So, it means a permanent river tribunal will look into the matters of all the rivers together. It means as of now, a tribunal was separately appointed for Kaveri, Krishna, Godavari, etc. This permanent tribunal will subsume all the existing tribunals. This is a very much positive development. And the second is, a dispute resolution committee will be established. Before it goes to the adjudication at the tribunal level, this resolution committee tries to solve the problem. And the third thing is, the role of the Supreme Court is the major challenge over here. As per the Article 262, the Supreme Court has no role and the award given by tribunal has to be final. The Supreme Court has clearly stated that at the initial level, the Supreme Court cannot intervene, but once the award is been given, the Supreme Court can look into the matter and can interpret the award. So it means whatever the award given by the courts, the tribunals, it will be finally challenged in Supreme Court. That is the major challenge. And the second thing is the political will. Most of the states try to gain the political or try to take up the political gain from the river water disputes. They convert these technical issues into something called as an emotional issues and tries to corner the votes from this. So the political parties have to create proper political climate for adjudication, for implementation of the adjudication given by the courts. And one more better thing is, the courts always dispute the awards on the basis of the data, water data. So a permanent technical body will be established to scrutinize the water data from time to time and to collect and maintain the records for the same. So these are the things, and these are said to be the improvements in solving the interstate river water disputes. And the risks of Trump's China policy. You all know that the president-elect Trump has took the call from the Chinese, that is Taiwanese premier. Now in this case, the China has clearly objected to that and stated one China policy is not for negotiation. What the Trump is looking into it? The Trump wants to use Taiwan as a bargain chip to get the trade concessions from China and also to have a common stand on the North Korean issue and to provide for restrictions on RLs, currency easing which has been taken up by China, etc. Now in this context, what is the problem for the China? Now, China has a caged navy. Caged navy means the navy has access to both East Asian or East Indian Ocean and also South China Sea, East China Sea and South China Sea. But however, there are many intermittent islands over there. Now if you see, Taiwan is also an island, and added to that, you in Philippines, Babudian Islands. So, Riku Islands in Japan, these intermediary islands, they will stop the projecting power of the Chinese navy. So, China is going to more consolidate its power in South China Sea, and the rift between China and the United States is going to be a tough line or is going to define the future of the global politics. Now, let's come to the tale of the two schemes. Now, here let us see the comparison between two schemes, that is Amma canteens and Amma's drinking water programs in Tamil Nadu. Amma canteens have provided for the new urban spaces where the people can converge and talk, share ideas, etc. So these have become the new socializing urban commons in Tamil Nadu. And these also have provided for last minute rescue during the disasters. The Amma canteens are the major source of distribution of food and in the recent Varda cyclone. And coming to the drinking water supply, So it is more a kind of a business which the government is doing, where it is trying to gain a profit out of it. And because of this, the people confidence over the drinking water supplied by Chennai Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewage Board lost the confidence. Or the third thing is the reverse osmosis technique which has been used. It's going to demineralize the water, which is not good for consumption. So what it clearly says is a benefit which has to be given to the people has to be thoroughly thought out. Then it can be successful. States need to buck up. So here in our syllabus in the paper 2 we have policy issues. What are the challenges in the policy formulation? What are the targets a policy shall have? Here we talk about adequacy, access, affordability. These are the things which the policy shall achieve, and then quality, etc. In this, the first thing is the access to a particular thing increases when it is close to the people. When the policy is formulated close to the people, then the policy can take into considerations what are the challenges the people are facing. Now, with regard to the center and the state, the robustness of the policy has to exist at the state level with regard to wash is concerned. Wash means water, sanitation and hygiene. The state has to play an active role. But in India, the states are not been very active, are not providing for robustness of the policy over there. And the second is identification of the beneficiaries. Here there are two models how they can be identified for. One is based on geographical and social status. The other one is a life cycle model. Geographical social status means urban, rural, low income and high income groups. So in this way, for the rural low income groups, urban low income groups, we provide the benefits of the services. Life cycle model, it means we talk about elderly, children, women, etc. For them, we provide the benefits for. In India, traditionally, we have taken up geographical and social cycles as a tool for identification of the beneficiaries. All the government departments are oriented to the same. We can continue that for the time being, but slowly we can also shift like other countries into the life cycle mode. And third thing is identification of the barriers. The barriers are mostly socio-cultural in nature, and they have to be identified for different groups of beneficiaries separately. Different groups will have different barriers. So, the policy exercise in India is not adequately looking into the issues of barriers faced by different sections of the population in the country. So, if these can be improved, the robustness of the policy environment can be improved in this country. Now, let's come to the development of the TB drug. Now, in India, we have got open source drug development scheme. Under this, any researcher can contribute and take the data from this open source drug development, and whatever the drugs are being developed through this will be used for the people without any patents. It means the publicly spirited scientists can contribute for the development of open source drugs, which will not be patented for. And the second thing, previously it has suffered from huge lack of funds. As now the Tata Trust and international agencies have come forward to provide for the funds, these open source drugs can go for the field trials, which will improve for health situation and drug availability in the country. You all know that global tuberculosis index is seen. The prevalence of the tuberculosis is highest in India. So, any research on the tuberculosis will benefit India. Now let's come to the Indian Express. The Bill of Rights, already we have discussed enough on this. The Bill of Rights, what it talks about is the India's Physical Disability Act passed by the Parliament brings it on par with the UN Convention of Rights of the Disabled Persons 2007. Now what are the things? What are the provisions? Let's see the positives. One is the definition of disability is increased from 7 to 21. Next is private establishments are also been brought under this thing. And then special provisions are made for women and children. And penalties are being imposed if the rights of the people are violated and discriminated for. On to the other side, what are the weaknesses or challenges to it? Getting a certification for disability is a challenge. For 21 different disabilities, there is no proper classification exists. And the certification which is given in one state is not valid in the other state. And as of now, for the 7 disabilities, not even 50% of the people got the certificates among the applied. And the second challenge is the reservations in the original law are 5%, now they are being reduced to 4%. And third, in the section 3 subclause 3 of the act, what it says is the discrimination of the physically disabled is punishable unless the discrimination is necessary for or is made on the legitimate grounds. But what constitutes the legitimate grounds is not clearly defined. Because of this, it can be misused to dilute the law. So these are the challenges the law faces. A fine balance. It talks about the merit versus seniority with regard to the appointments to public offices. In a democracy, the civilian government has the discretion to appoint the military chief. But excessive interference in the functioning of the military will lead to the breakdown of the fine balance between the civil and military, which was created over years together. Now, normally, the seniority is the principle which is followed in the appointment of the military chiefs. Now, it has been done away with the appointment of Mr. Rawat as the military chief. So, here, what are the arguments for seniority? The first thing is seniority is also a kind of merit and it is easy to determine, so there is no conflict in this. On the case of the merit, we need to have a clear criteria how the merit can be identified. So whenever we are applying for the merit as a principle, it has to be associated with clearly laid guidelines and the transparency. But however, in this case of appointment, and on what basis the merit is determined is not very clear. So obviously it may lead to some heartburn and indiscipline among the rank and file of the army. And the discipline of the army is pivotal importance for the civilian government to function. And this merit-based lack of criteria for the determination of the merit, it can lead to a patronage system in the army, as like the DGPs are appointed in the state based on the patronage of the chief minister. The military chiefs shall not be appointed based on the patronage of the prime minister and the council of ministers. That is what is the advice. The fine balance need to be maintained in the appointment of appointment of military chiefs. Now Manipur. Now you know that Manipur is recently divided into 16 districts. It means 7 more districts were added. So because of this division of the districts, the Naga dominant hill areas, these are being joined into the adjacent districts, and the Nagas fear that they are becoming a minority in the new districts. So this is seen as a plot to decrease the power and yield of the Nagas on their lands. You know that in the Manipur also we have Tugluk and other Nagas, and these are resenting this division of the districts, creation of the new districts, and United Naga Council is taking up this road blockade, economic blockade. And already you see, as for Article 371 subclause C, hill area committees need to be consulted before making any administrative decisions. But Ibobi Singh government did not consult the hill area committees. So this non-consultative or no proper work on the ground building has led to this particular violence in the Manipur now. These are the articles for today. Thank you very much and all the best. Oh no, we have 2 sessions. Already we have discussed this. What can be the implications of Trump's policies in India? How can you use these notes? Now once you listen to this article, just try to go through the questions which are given to you initially and try to make your opinions and then read the newspaper, then you will get a consolidated opinion. If you are preparing for interview, the questions will be very simple. Just try to think answers and make opinions on these questions. So present itself, practice itself before the mirror. Then you get a good articulation of the views, and that is what is expected in the interview. This is how we need to use the information as. Thank you very much. All the best.